Most people think poverty comes from low income. Some blame inflation, others blame the system. But the Quran points to something far more dangerous. It doesn't look sinful, it doesn't feel irresponsible, yet it silently destroys wealth, peace, and barakah. And almost everyone is doing it without realizing it. I'm going to reveal to you one habit, one decision pattern, one overlooked drain that's robbing you of financial peace. This isn't about making you feel guilty. This is about awakening your awareness. And once you see it, correction becomes possible. The Quran speaks extensively about wealth and our responsibility with it. These aren't burdens placed upon us, but protections given to us as mercy. Allah warns us that loss often begins not with greed, but with heedlessness, ghafla. We become blind to what's right in front of us. I know you're trying. You budget your groceries, you hunt for deals, you avoid obvious waste, you're not careless with money. Yet there is one area where all logic seems to disappear, where even the most careful among us throw wisdom out the window. The destroyer I'm speaking of is status-driven spending, not the object itself, but the motivation behind purchasing it. The Quran warns us about following our desires, our hawa, and about the subtle forms of showing off that creep into our worldly decisions. This is riya'ah in its everyday form, and it's costing you more than you realize. When we buy for status, those purchases lose value rapidly. They create recurring obligations, insurance, maintenance, upgrades. They reduce our future options because our money becomes trapped in depreciating assets. The cost isn't just the money you spend today, it's the flexibility you lose tomorrow. It's the peace you sacrifice. It's the time you'll spend working to maintain what was supposed to serve you. The Quran teaches us a fundamental principle. Wealth is a tool in the hands of Allah's servants, not an identity. When our possessions demand constant payments, constant attention, constant worry, they stop serving us and start ruling us. We become slaves to what we thought would elevate us. Think about this. Money tied up in non-growing assets that demand ongoing expenses. What could that money have done instead? It could have been your emergency buffer, providing you stability when unexpected challenges arise. It could have enabled generosity, the ability to help others without calculating whether you can afford it. The Quran reminds us that provision is not just what comes in, but what remains. What remains after you've fed your ego? What remains after you've impressed people who don't even think about you? Now, Islam doesn't call for deprivation. The Quran says, and do not forget your share of the world. But there's profound wisdom in choosing moderation and making intentional decisions. True strength isn't found in what you can afford to buy, but in what you're wise enough not to buy. Modesty isn't lack, it's clarity. Ask yourself, what is this habit of status-driven spending costing you long-term? Beyond the money, you're losing peace of mind. You're losing the margin that allows you to breathe when life gets difficult. You're losing your ability to say no to financial stress because you've committed yourself to obligations that serve your image, not your well-being. We live in a comparison culture where wealth decisions become social performances rather than rational choices. We buy things not because we need them, but because we think they communicate something about who we are. But the Quran reminds us that true honor comes from Allah alone, not from appearances. Allah says, indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Here's a truth worth remembering. Just because something is affordable doesn't mean it is wise. Just because you can make the monthly payment doesn't mean you should commit to it. Just because others expect it doesn't mean Allah requires it. Which decision in your life is quietly demanding more than it gives back? Which purchase has become a master instead of a servant? The path to barakah in your wealth isn't found in earning more. It's found in spending with wisdom. When you align your financial choices with Quranic principles, when you buy for need and utility rather than status and image, something beautiful happens. Your money begins to serve its true purpose, providing security, enabling generosity, and bringing you closer to the peace that Allah intends for His faithful servants. This is the wisdom the Quran offers. Not restriction, but liberation. Not poverty, but prosperity guided by divine understanding.